Tigers are among the strongest predators in the world, and there are only a few animals that could take them on in a 1 versus 1 fight. Their biggest weapon is the ambush attack, but in a direct fight, they are still extremely dangerous opponents. Here are the animals that I think could defeat a tiger. The first of these is the only land predator that's bigger than a tiger, and that's the bear. As is well known, tigers in Siberia also hunt bears, but these are mainly smaller species such as the black bear. However, they sometimes hunt Ussuri brown bears, which in certain cases can be extremely large, similar to Kodiak bears. A body weight of up to 600 kilograms is quite attainable for this type. However, tigers do not mess with such specimens. They either hunt the smaller brown bear females or young animals. The reason, of course, is that the risk is too big, because adult male bears could defeat them in battle, and if they can do that, other large brown bear species and polar bears will do the same. So if a polar bear can defeat a tiger, it suggests that animals that can kill a polar bear can also do it. This includes, for example, the walrus, more precisely the walrus bull, because it not only has much longer tusks, but it is also much larger and heavier. With a weight of up to 1.5 tons and a length of 3.5 meters, it is many times more voluminous than even the largest and heaviest tigers in the world. Due to its 4-centimeter thick skin and the enormous layer of fat, the tiger cannot harm it any more than the polar bear. The claws and teeth of the big cat are simply not long enough to do any real damage, and the neck of this colossus is far too thick to strangle it. If the tiger would be caught only once instead, the 1-meter-long tusks would end its life in no time. A fight against the mighty animal to which this giant skull belongs, which is much larger than that of a grizzly bear, would be pretty similar, and that's the elephant seal, one of the strangest creatures in the world, at least in appearance. However, contrary to their amiable looks, they are quite aggressive, at least during the mating season, and also fight quite brutally. Just like the walrus, the tiger is not able to seriously injure these animals due to the thick skin and fat mass. Sea elephant bulls with a length of 4 meters and a weight of up to 3 tons are even larger than walruses. With their surprisingly long teeth or their massive skull, which they use like a hammer, they could definitely kill the tiger if they caught it. However, an animal is not necessarily safe just because it is large and heavy. Bengal tigers, for example, are able to hunt and kill adult gaur bulls. These monster cattle are almost 3 meters long and weigh more than a ton, and yet a single tiger can defeat such a bull. However, a gaur can also win, not that often, but it does happen. Although gaurs are huge muscle mountains, there are probably stronger cattle. Spanish bulls are smaller and lighter, but more agile and faster. In addition, their more forward curved horns are better suited for combat than the larger Bosgaurus rearward curved horns. In addition, they are also more aggressive, which is important because flight often leads to defeat. Another animal with a chance of victory would be the American bison. Adult bulls can weigh 900 kilograms, and they are almost as heavy as gaurs, and additionally, they are at least a little bit protected from attacks by their fur. Water buffalo also have a chance to win. After all, they have a lot of raw strength and aggression, and in a study that looked at the cause of death of 42 tigers, one of them was the result of a water buffalo attack. But like the other cattle, the tiger, although it can be defeated, is the favorite in this matchup. The next opponent, the saltwater crocodile, would be an underdog too, at least on land, but the fight would still be incredibly exciting. With a weight of up to a ton and a body length of up to 6 meters, they are the largest reptiles in the world. Even if most animals do not reach such record sizes, they're still significantly larger and heavier than tigers, with a bite that is many times stronger. On land, crocodiles are slower and less agile compared to tigers, but a single bite, no matter where, is enough to seriously injure their opponent, while the tiger has to plan its attacks very skillfully to get behind the crocodile and on its back so that it can really do damage. Big cats are actually pretty good at fighting crocodilians, which the jaguar shows impressively when it kills a caiman. But a saltwater crocodile is a completely different caliber, and therefore probably one of the few animals that could defeat a tiger. A 10-year-old female tiger was defeated in battle in the Sundarbans, the largest mangrove forest on Earth, by a 5-meter-long saltwater crocodile. But you don't have to be huge and weigh more than a ton to defeat these beautiful predators. Sometimes it's enough if you have the right defense, as the porcupine shows us. Unlike some of the other animals in this video, the porcupine can't just potentially defeat a tiger, it already did. The body of a 15-year-old tiger has been found in an Indian tiger reserve in Idukki, and the cause of death was an attack on a porcupine. The tiger got pierced in its snout and body by the up to 40-centimeter long spines of the porcupine. Since tigers cannot remove these spines, they do not even have to injure vital organs in order to lead to death, which unfortunately then becomes quite painful due to inflammation. In another case, when a tiger jumped into a porcupine, its heart was pierced, which ended the matter quickly. So you better not mess with this opponent at all. The rodent only weighs about 20 kilograms and is less than a meter long, but it's rather well armed with the quills and therefore has no natural enemies. As you can see, the equipment of an animal is often much more important than its raw power. Of course, body size and muscle strength also help a lot. Our next candidate, the moose, has a bit of both. With a weight of 800 kilograms, 3 meters in length, and a shoulder height of up to 2.3 meters, this deer is a real colossus. You can easily see how big these animals are when they stand next to cars. In addition, a moose also has antlers that can reach a span of up to 2 meters in Alaska moose. They usually use these weapons to fight other moose and defend their cows, but it would also be useful against a tiger. However, I would say that the tiger will definitely win most fights. Grizzly bears kill moose regularly, and tigers are not much weaker than bears. The neck of an elk is built to absorb the shock of a ramming attack, but is less strong against claws, which is why these animals are sometimes beheaded by grizzly bears. A tiger with its shorter claws would most likely not be able to do this, but in most cases, it will defeat it. Just like the water buffalo, the tiger will lose from time to time. I see much better chances of winning for the next opponent, the giraffe. Weighing 1.6 tons at a height of 6 meters, giraffe bulls are invincible to most animals simply because of their size. In Africa, there are sometimes conflicts between lions and giraffes, but it takes a whole pack to bring down an adult giraffe. A single animal would never do it. Even the tiger, who is a bit stronger than a lion and regularly has to hunt relatively large prey alone, probably wouldn't have a chance. A giraffe's kick is strong enough to break a lion's skull or legs, and that would probably happen to the tiger as well. A pride of lions has to work in a team and coordinate attacks to bring the giraffe down at some point. A single tiger or lion can never do that. A fight with a lion would be much more exciting. In my opinion, the tiger would win in most cases, but it's still a close duel. Of all the big cats, the lion would probably be the second hardest matchup for the tiger, and is only surpassed by the tiger itself. The tiger can not only defeat a tiger, it is even responsible for most of the tiger's deaths, according to a study that looked at the causes of deaths for tigers. But there is another animal that has already defeated a tiger that some might not have expected, and that is the wild boar. In the Indian district of Balaghat, a 6-year-old tiger was actually killed by a wild boar. These animals are much stronger than you think. They can weigh over 200 kilograms and become 2 meters long. Their canines also look pretty scary and have a length of up to 20 centimeters. Even though they have short legs, they can still reach a good speed of about 40 kilometers per hour. The wild boar's body is very robust, and its spirit remains unbroken. These animals are really not afraid of anything at all, and I can well imagine that they would mess with a huge predator like a tiger. And as you saw in the one case from India, they can also win. A few animals that would definitely win are the big three from Africa: elephant, hippo, and rhinoceros. No predator on Earth, not even an adult polar bear, could take on one of these three. The African elephant bull, with a weight of 6 tons, a height of 4 meters, and a length of 6 meters, is even significantly larger and stronger than the other two. Rhinoceros and hippopotamus are quite close to each other in terms of size and strength, but still far above the tiger in terms of fighting power. Hippos are not only huge, they also have impressive teeth, are surprisingly fast, have thick skin, and are quite aggressive, which is why a tiger would have absolutely no chance. Besides the elephant, the rhinoceros is probably the only animal that could defeat a full-grown hippo, unless of course you add poisonous animals to the list. However, this is difficult on one hand because poison has a different effect on each organism, and on the other hand, the poisonous animal must first get its toxins into the body of the opponent. If you assume that they would manage to do so, there would be dozens of snakes with enough poison to kill several tigers, or in the case of the inland tiger, taipan, even several elephants. If a tiger stepped on a stonefish, which would cause its poison to enter the body, a stonefish could also defeat a tiger. But from here on, it's really no fun to think about these fights. Is there any animal that you think would win against the actual king of the jungle? Maybe a gorilla or another ape perhaps? Then write it in the comments. See you next time, bye!